So it can also behave like gas, in which case the phase space will be uniformly flat. Then why should we make precision estimates of direct decay with this experiment so challenging? The significance lies in the astrophysics. As I have said, the reaction rate, 3 alpha reaction rate, is not only important for producing 12 carbon. In later stages of nucleosynthesis, the heavier elements production is. That is also actually related to this 3 alpha reaction rate. And this is actually related by the decay width of 12 carbon. It is a Hall state sequential decay width. This is radiation between decay width, and this is the total decay width. And this Q is nothing but the energy of hosted in center of mass. So the total decay width it combines of alpha decay width and radiative decay width. And alpha decay width it combines of it constitutes of two parts. One has the sequential decay part, and the other one that I'm talking about, the 3 alpha direct decay. So this is a sequential decay width and 3 alpha direct decay width. Uh, if there is no direct 3 alpha, as you can see, as the radiative decay is very less than the alpha decay width, the total decay width actually is almost same as the sequential decay width. So in that case, sequential decay rate will be directly proportional to radiative decay because this gamma alpha 0 and gamma total they will cancel out. So the rate will be only proportional to gamma radiative decay. But if this ratio, the gamma 3 alpha by this gamma 3 alpha, the gamma alpha 0 by gamma, it is less than 1. 3 alpha is not 0, this will be not equal to 1, it will be less than 1. In that case, the sequential plus direct decay, this rate will be less than the sequential decay. So in that case, we'll have reduction in 12 carbons formation. And analysis have showed that in later stage of nucleosynthesis, the production of higher heavy elements it is very sensitive to this 3 alpha decay. So it actually modifies the elemental abundance of our universe. So in that way, knowing the direct decay branching ratio is very important. So what is the present experimental status regarding this direct decay branch? First, Ikirana et al. They came up with one statistics. They said it is less than 0.91%, and later other modifications were done subsequently. And currently, the highest statistic data that we have, again from Ikirana, it says that the direct decay branch is less than 0.019%. Basically, what that means is it is actually less than 1.9 into 10 power minus 4%. It is so small. But we are seeing one trend here that with higher and higher statistics, this direct decay branching ratio it seems to be decreasing. Why is that? Are we bound by experimental limitation? What we have currently, the base statistics, we have to proceed with that, but we have to see if there is there another way to predict what will be the direct decay branching ratio. So after that, after experiment, we have suppose we have acquired the 3 alpha decay 3 alpha. We also need to analyze and extract the decay components from these decay particles. For that, we have some techniques which are available to us. Using that, we can extract the decay component. First is the Dalish plot technique. It is very popular and it basically takes for three-body decay. It takes the relative energies and constitutes two variables x and y, such that it is a two-dimensional plot. And using this, we can actually visualize how these different decay modes they appear in Dalish plot. As you can see in the x-axis, we have relative energy between first and second alpha, then second and third alpha. This combined like this. The beauty is if the three-body decay proceeds through a state or intermediate state, then the process, this Dali's plot, it will be limited by a particular locus. As you can see, the sequential decay as it proceeds through 8 beryllium plus alpha, and then 8 beryllium produces another 2 alpha. As you can see, this is one triangular shape like locus. But if the direct decay happens, direct decay in equal energy, we have the Dali's plot. Dali's plot we have, it is centered around 0. And in direct decay in equal phase space, we have a similar to a phase space type of thing. It is actually directly, this area is actually directly proportional to the available phase space to the decay mode. And in the direct decay in equal phase space, we see plots like this. And in DDL, the extreme points of this linear, this triangle, these are popular. So using this, you can actually visualize different decay components, but it is not exactly useful to find out quantification of this exact decay. To do that, we need another techniques. We have here like the relative energy distribution of 8 beryllium like pairs. Then we have the distribution of root mean square of energy deviation. We also have distribution of radial projection of the Dali's plot. So first to start with 8 beryllium like pairs, this is one technique to find out what is the direct decay component. In here we plot 8 beryllium like pairs relative energy. What I meant to say is you make the relative energy of three alpha particles 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, 2.
Hello.
Yes.
Abhijit, I just wanted to ask you that in the previous plot,
Yes.
it is a simulation or is it experimental?
Yes, yes, yes. It's a simulation, not experimental.
Just I was wondering how one can separately plot. So in simulation only you can separately plot. Otherwise,
yes,
experiment
exactly.
all will be mixed.
This is done using Monte Carlo simulation, and I have taken this plot from this paper.
But in experiment, they will be all mixed, no? Or
in experiment, you will usually see a plot like this actually, because it basically proceeds to sequential decay, so it will mostly look like this. But there will be some points here that will actually indicate that direct decay component is there actually.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So as I started with 8 beryllium plus pairs, in this case, we will construct the lowest relative energy between two alpha particles. So in the case of sequential decay, it will be 92 kV, because the sequential decay it proceeds to 8 beryllium, and 8 beryllium has value of 92. So as you can see, in this red line sequential, it peaks around 92 kV. And in case of the direct decay in equal energy, it will peak around 188 kV. This red dotted, it is peaking around 188 kV. For DDL, if you direct decay in linear chain, it will peak at around 95 kV. As you can see, 95 kV. And the green one is for direct decay in equal phase space. And if we see the experimental data, these black circles, you can see it is mostly explained by the sequential decay, as we already know that. But there is in the tail portions, you can see that it is clearly deviating from the sequential decay. So what this basically means that it of course contains the direct decay components. There's another method which is to find out what is the root mean square energy deviation. In this case, we construct the root mean square energy deviation for each event, or in this case, each event, and we plot them. So in this case, for DD, because they all have equal energy, the root mean square RMS value of energy should peak at around 0 K, 0, which is also evident here. And in case of DD, it is extreme. But what is interesting is this red line, which is sequential. It is again almost explaining the experiment, but there is some component added around 0. Basically, that means it contains that direct decay branches like DD or DD5. Similar on another technique is radial projection of symmetric Dali's plot. In the last slide, I said that using the Dali's plot, we can visualize things, but it is not does not give us very quantifies the decay branches. To do that, we need to plot the radial part of and take a projection of the symmetric branch plot. And as in this case also, we see that the sequential mostly satisfies the experiment, but there are some points where it is deviating. So basically, that means, as we confirm, it contains a direct decay branch. So far, we have that know that we have confirmed that direct decay branch exists, although it is small, but it exists. So to end with the discussion, I started working on a small simulation with the aim to understand the mechanics of various decay modes.
Hello, Abhijit. I have one question in the previous field.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. So here, whatever the data you have fitted the red one, right? That is the sequential decay, right?
They are actually, it is not my data. It is
No, yeah, I understand this. So what I'm telling is that whatever, like, can't you have a combination of the green and red, which will explain the data in a better way?
Actually, they have done that. I am just explaining how individual components look like. When we want to fit, we have to take them on, take combinations of them, and then try to fit with this experimental data. And after minimizing chi-square, we will get those different contributions from different these modes: green, red, dot, blue.
Okay.
So as I was saying, I started this small simulation to understand the various mechanisms of direct decay, and also wanted to visualize in lab film how they scatter or how they decay actually. So, and also to simulate one optimum real life experiment. And for this simulation, I studied a sequential decay and also linear decay in linear chain, DDL, direct decay with equal energy DDE, and also direct decay in equal phase space DD. To explain the simulation procedure, here is one small animation how this can happen. So as you can see, 12 carbon for my simulation, I have taken 12 carbon, 75 MeV 12 carbon. It is coming and hitting another 12 carbon. Scattered 12 carbon is sitting here. We use it to this detector. We will use to detect the scattered 12 carbon, and this excited 12 carbon is decays into 3 alpha that we detect using this 3 strip detector. That is our experimental, our simulation assumptions. We have taken this, considered these things. 3 strips for detecting excited 12 carbon or detecting this decay in alpha, and 1 strip to detect the scattered 12 carbon. In this strip, it covers 20 to 40 dB. These are all variable. Just for demonstration, I have chosen this. And for detecting the 3 beating alpha, this detector array, which constitutes of 3 strips, they cover angle 20 to 80 dB. So for this simulation, I've taken 10,000 events for each node. I performed the two-body kinematics for, in case of sequential, and also three-body kinematics in case of direct decays. And for different decay modes, DDM, DD, DD5, sequential, one theta fly scatter plot in the lab frame that will be generated by the program itself. That I'll show in the next slide. And to conclude that thing, I also try to find out what kind of geometrical efficiency for the detector we can expect. In
Hello, Abhijit.
Yes.
I just wanted to ask whether this choice of projectile has some criteria like carbon 12 you have chosen, or it can be anything.
Actually, I tried with different combinations also, but as per available beams in Peletron, I find that the Coulomb barrier, mutual Coulomb barrier for 12 carbon, 12 carbon actually is covered. So exciting that target 12 carbon will be easier.
Okay, because it is becoming a symmetric, like target is also carbon 12, but projectile is carbon 12.
Yes. It is actually symmetric.
Okay. So that doesn't give any complications or any advantage.
Advantage, you can say that acquiring 12 carbon target is easy, and also getting 12 carbon beam from Peloton is easy. So I perform this simulation for other targets also, or other combinations also, but I'm showing here what I find is viable.
Okay.
So here how the sequential decay of our state happens. As you can see, L carbon, helium and alpha, then every. So in this case, so in the center of mass, it's available
The internet issue
this
is there,
energy minus.
Abhijit.
Huh?
Sometimes, probably some internet issue is there. Your voice is sometimes not this is not coming. Yeah,
Right, so in micro.
keep the microphone closer.
Holding the microphone.
Hello. Try again.
It is audible.
Yes, yes.
As I was demonstrating how sequential decay happens.
Just wanted to say, with headphone it is all right. Only the speaker.
No, I'm actually using earphones.
No, for others, no, for the audience. With the headphone, it is coming out to be very clear. But with the speaker, no, my computer speaker, and the voice is little lower. That's what I realized.
Okay, continue.
So in that case of sequential decay, we have the beryllium plus alpha breakup threshold, which is around 7.36. So in the center of mass, 7.6 by minus 7.36, so almost close to 0.4 MeV. That is available for these two particles. This beryllium ground state being 92 kV, important to body kinetics. And the simulation program now produces this scattered plots of theta phi. This is how the different decay alpha they appear in lab. So basically, we are capturing the 12 carbon scattered 20 to 40 degrees in the opposite direction. As you can see from 35 to 75, we are having this scattered various alpha. So also the corresponding efficiency. This is purely geometrical. I'm not considering any carbon constant cross section. Basically, whatever events I am generating based on that. So this is, as you can see, this is with the excitation energy. This efficiency is plotted. This is close to, as you can see, 0.27. There's one another scenario, which is in linear chain. As I have said, in the linear chain extreme condition, these two alpha they emit equal energy, and the center one it remains stationary in the center. So in this case, because this is 3 alpha breakup, the breakup threshold is 7.27 MeV. So this much energy is available in the center of mass. And in this case, we have to perform free body kinematics. If we do that, we have this kind of scatter properties. As you can see, we are now seeing one square type of shape. This is nothing but which is actually generated by this center alpha. This is actually generating this square shape because for every 12 carbon detected here, this shape corresponding another 12 carbon will be here. And in that 12 carbon, the center alpha, because it is remaining with zero energy in center of mass, it will actually move with the same velocity as with the and velocity and direction as with the excited 12 carbon. So basically, it produces that square shape. And this is also the efficiency corresponding. It's much higher than the sequential one. And now another case is decay with equal energy. In this case, as we have postulated, it might be a case of Bose-Einstein condensation, where all the alpha particles they are in the same state. Also, because of that, they are emitting with same energy. And because of they are emitting with same energy, its corresponding angle between them will be 120 degrees to conserve the momentum in the center of things. So here also we have to perform the free body kinematics. And in this case, the static body looks like this, and the efficiency is actually quite lower in this one. Lastly, I have performed that simulation of direct between equal phase space, where all the available phase space is sampled. So in that case, in phase space, we consider all the possible points and what can happen. So basically, it is a one generic picture which is showing this particular direction, but it can happen in any way. Just to show this, and in this case, the alpha with random energy, all the random, it has to be compatible with the conservation laws of energy. So in this case, we are seeing a theta phase scatter plot like this. The efficiency is quite low because we are considering all the configurations. So far, this is what I have done for the simulation of direct decay. And for the later part, I will continue with the upper limit of direct decay, which is a bit technical one. So before going to that, I want to ask anyone if anyone has any question. Can I proceed, sir?
You want to ask?
I want to proceed to the second part of this talk. Before that, I wanted to know if anyone has any question because the second part will be a bit involved. So.
Okay, if anybody has question, he will raise the hand actually. I'll request the audience. Some people have raised their hands. Let me see. So Aradhana has a question.
Abhijit, you showed this 2D plot for sequential breakup and direct breakup for different cases.
Yes.
And then in the plot, it is theta versus phi. So actually,
Yes.
maybe it is due to loss of audibility. In the sequential case, this angle theta is between what? It is between 8 beryllium alpha, or it is between after that 8 beryllium breaks into 2 alpha,
No,
and
this
then
is
this angle is between any 2 alpha.
this theta and phi. These are lab angles. I mean the detector angles from which in the detector. Suppose we are putting these three steel detectors from 20 to 80 degree theta now, and so basically it shows them in the detector. These are the theta phi positions upon hitting the detector.
So any two alpha in coincidence.
G alpha in coincidence actually.
Okay, but
We
this
are
theta
detecting
is what? Theta is angle of what?
theta is angle of theta and phi both. They are angle of different alphas that were actually hitting upon the detector.
So and okay, 3 alphas are detected in suppose three different detectors. So then you are putting all
No,
those
not necessarily. It has to hit three different detectors. They two of the alpha can detect same detector also.
So
What
whatever
I'm
is the case, so you are putting angle of all the 3 alphas here.
yes, yes,
That
yes.
theta is, suppose there is one event, you get 3 alpha. So all those, there will be 3 points here.
Yes, for
Okay.
for each event there will be 3 points.
Understood.
And for the efficiency, we have to consider that all 3 events are detected in the detector.
Okay, understood.
Otherwise,
Thank
the
you.
efficiency would be 1.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
Yeah, next question by Dr. Ashok Jain.
Hello.
Yeah,
Sir?
you can ask.
This simulation that you are presenting, I think is purely based on kinematical calculations.
Yes.
So there are no structure effects taken into account in your model, or?
So basically, when you consider kinematics for different cases like DDL, DD5, or DDE, you are actually considering structure because for their structures, the kinematics will be specific. I mean, in this case of equal energy, they will share equal energy. So through kinematics, we are actually simulating what will be the configuration, what will be the structure.
But I think that the most interesting part in this oil state understanding is the structure.
Yes, actually, that's what I wanted to say initially, how to find out the structure experimentally. So experimentally, people try to detect these alphas. And from those, they reconstruct what should be the structure of cluster. Otherwise, we have theoretical models, but how to confirm the structure experimentally.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, maybe now I can proceed.
Yeah, I think so. No, one more question by Topper.
Hello.
Yes, Topper, you can ask.
Yeah, actually, he has plotted this excitation energy versus this efficiency.
Yes, sir.
Excitation energy, that excitation energy is carbon 12 excitation energy, or
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. 12 carbon.
no, it is fixed, na? As you consider the oil state,
Mm-hmm.
it has 7.65 MeV.
Yes.
Then
So
you have varied this excitation energy or some.
this is the
I cannot see this point. Where is your 7
that will be
points
for a particular Hall state. Yeah, this will be around this 7.65.
around the peak
Yes,
position?
yes.
Okay.
Because I am starting from there. But if we want to suppose measure the first excited or second excited state of Hall state, then you have to go further. That's why I have actually studied for different excitation energies also.
So means how much you have varied basically from the 7.65 to maximum of
11, as you can see.
11.
So basically, I suppose we want to capture the first excited state, which is around 10 MeV.
10 MeV. Okay.
So for the second part, I'll start with this paper which was published in February. These people they have given one theoretical upper limit of the direct G alpha decay using simulation, but they also used a small information from one experiment they have performed earlier. So I will start with that. So in that experiment, I will not go deep into that experiment. Basically, they excite the first excited state of Hall state, which is 10 MeV with monochromatic gamma, and they break the 12 current. So 3 alpha will be emitted, and these are the 3 alpha events. These are detector points, pixels actually. So basically, these two kind of picture are there. One is in one type, as you can see, this is a long. This is shape. This is the shape, and which remains like this. Where alpha decay pass may be
Yes,
like this.
Vijay,
I have a question. Yeah.
can you briefly explain the experiment how this gamma ray set up, where it was done?
It was done in NLM.
Yeah,
It
okay.
was done in NLM using monochromatic gamma from 9.6 to 11 MeV. So using that gamma,
What is that source of gamma ray? How that is produced? That
they
gamma ray?
use synchrotron.
Synchrotron.
Using synchrotron, they produced gamma ray, and these detectors, special detectors, these are optical time projection chambers. These are quite different from silicon detectors that we have. Actually, that's why I didn't want to go deep into it, because that will be too long. But basically, these are actually different pixels, X, Y, X, Z pixels, in 3 dimension. Basically, it's a gas chamber. So in 3 dimension, we have several pixels, and these are the events which are alpha decay points. So my point was that in this case, we are detecting two kinds of events. One is like this, and one is shaped like this. In this case of things, it seems like it's a sequential decay because one alpha is emitting opposite, and another 8 barium is opposite, and this 8 barium again decays into 2 alpha, which is shaped like this: 2 alpha and the opposite alpha. So in this case, the sequential breakup, in which case the 12 carbon breaks into 8 barium ground state and alpha, and these kinds of events are greater than 98% of almost 98% of the total events that we've seen. And in these kinds of events, as you can see, the configuration seems like this: 3 alpha and anything like this. In this case, however, two modes are possible. One is sequential, but in this case sequential, but sequential to 8 beryllium fast excitation. So what happens when 8 beryllium is excited to fast excitation? It has much higher energy compared to the 92 kV ground state energy. In that case, they have enough energy to spread. It's not like a small cone, but a larger cone can be created. That's why it is shaped like this. And another possibility is direct route of 12 current. In that case also, it can happen that these three alphas are looking like this.
Yeah.
Abhijit,
I have a question.
Yes.
Abhijit, these two different kind of events, what I missed, what was the selection used? Because you, in experiment, you have all kind of events. How you get these two different kind of uh, this modes populated and separated? The top one, top panel and the bottom panel.
Right now, I don't remember actually.
Okay, okay, we'll see
I'll get
the.
back
You,
to you.
okay, we'll read that paper. Okay, thank you.
So the point was that these kinds of events, which are of our interest, these kinds of events are less than 2% of the total events that 3 alpha events are getting. So using that to proceed further, we need some classification because that otherwise it will be very easy to keep track of everything. So we classify Hoyle state of fluid carbon and the decay with as gamma Hoyle. And you can break up into sequentially through and also through direct decay. In case of sequential, we say that the decay is gamma alpha 0 oil, and the direct decay case this is gamma 3 alpha. And for the fast accelerated state, there can be we will denote it gamma 2 plus.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
I just that Aradhana asked, no, that how you select or something like that. The previous transparency. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes.
So actually, it is like event by event. No, they can see it is. These are the snapshots of each event. No, so these are different type of events are selected and shown. It is not that like we do. No, we count for 1 hour. ऐसा नहीं है. These are two different events.
Oh, that is true.
Yeah, TPC, no, TPC, each event you record, and you see that one event is like that, the other event is like it is like a like cosmic ray में जैसे track दिखता था ना,
अच्छा.
so similar type of these are the tracks.
These are the tracks actually.
Two different events, so there is no like selection नहीं है. Each events are recorded separately, and then you can see and see like or whatever. I think manually they do or
because otherwise if we when you try to plot all the events will be plotted one upon another, right? In that case,
no, these are two separate events. I think no, that's
these are two separate events.
It is not many events plotted together. It is two separate events. They are showing the track.
Yeah, you are right, Kripa. I understood your point. But then how they must have added all those, and while adding, they must have put some criteria then.
No, there is
The
no
point
adding.
is absolutely correct.
But if we, but in that case, if we want to see each event and see and classify them, that will be difficult because there will be thousands.
No, I do not know whether they use some software, but these are not a many events. These are two types of events, and then count say how many times you got this type and how many times you have got this type.
We go to slide 25 and then discuss.
But Kripa, suppose the experiment is happening, you are getting all the kinds of, you are first sometimes getting, okay, most of the times you are getting sequential and sometimes you are getting direct.
Hello, it is
to record hoga na event by event.
Hello,
because this looks like all added event lag raha hai. Dekho usme contour.
This seems like added event.
beryllium ground state and 2 plus state, so you can choose the 8 beryllium relative energy. The first one is only up to 100 keV maybe, and other one is above 100 keV.
Yeah, but what I think, no, this is two. For top one is one event, second one is another event.
अरे नहीं यार, वो पूरा added है, वो पूरा contour
statistics नहीं लग रहा.
Statistics वो
actually
color contour होगा उसमें.
These are the two kinds of events. So once this kind of event happens, simultaneously this kind of event cannot happen.
Yeah.
In event number 1, you have a gate of 8 beryllium relative energy in 8 beryllium excitation energy, that is ground state only, so about 100 keV. Whereas in the second one, B lower panel, it is 8 beryllium excited state excitation is above 100 keV maybe, or 150 keV, whatever you can choose the window. So up to 2 plus, no, so up to 6 MeV around you can take. The width is 3 MeV.
Can I ask the question?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So actually what you have for a given event, a track.
Yeah.
In one case, you will have two collinear, one collinear track. In another case, you will have a triangle, like 3 ones. So based on that, they have added the thing.
That's what Professor wanted to say.
See, because see, in one case, you can see the upper one, it's a collinear track.
Yes, yes.
And in other case, it is like the track will be, what you will see actually in the detector is a track.
Yeah. So in this case, actually, what I've said, only one kind of breakup mode is possible because this is collinear, this kind of shape. So only 8 beryllium through ground state, and that sequential mode is only possible. And this combines two kinds of modes, direct as well as sequential through first excitation of the.
Okay, I think you can go ahead.
So I denoted that decay of fast excited state of oil as gamma 2 plus, and it can consist of three kinds of modes. One is that sequential breakup through equilibrium ground state, which we consider denoted by gamma alpha 0 2 plus. Sequential breakup of 12 carbon through equilibrium fast excited state, we denoted by gamma alpha 1 2 plus, and similar to that gamma 3 alpha oil, we have direct of 12 carbon, in this case gamma 3 alpha 2 plus. So from the previous slide, you can see that this first excited state is decay with this addition, sum of these three decays, alpha 0, alpha 1, alpha 3 alpha. This is what I have put down here. So gamma 2 plus, it is addition of alpha 0, alpha 1, 3 alpha. So alpha 1 plus 3 alpha is less than equal to gamma 2 plus minus gamma alpha 0. So from this equation, you can say that this interest of which is of our interest, gamma 3 alpha plus is the direct decay component. This is less than this quantity. Okay, and from the experiment here, I have said that these kinds of events are less than 2% of the total events, right? So these kinds of events are less than 2% of the total event. So what that means is that the direct decay branch, which is also less than 2%. So there's we are actually putting one upper limit that gamma 3 alpha has to be less than 2% of the total decay. So experimentally, we get that the total decay of 2 plus state is 1.6 MeV. If we multiply that with 2%, 0.02, we get that direct decay width of fast excited state is less than 32 keV. We have to remember this value because this is what is of our interest. The total experiments actually give only this information that the gamma direct decay width of fast excited state is less than 32 keV. And after that, we have to simulate other things to find out what should be the upper limit of the oil state direct decay branch. So to do that, we need one small amount of matrix theory, which says that for a particular decay channel, the total decay width is related to the reduced decay width by this penetrability factor. And this reduced decay width, it is actually sensitive to the structure. So if we assume that because oil state and excited state, they basically both have the same intrinsic structure, it can be conjectured that these two have also equal reduced decay. So if we put this, that reduced decay with the oil and reduced decay with the oil excited, they are same, and use this equation, we'll find out that the direct decay of oil, which is related to the direct decay of plus by this penetrability ratio, which is the penetrability ratio of oil to the fast excited. So this may be some little bit messy. So let me summarize again. From the experiment, we are getting this quantity, gamma 3 alpha. It is less than 32 keV. you have to remember that, and from using simulation, we will find out this quantity, that connectivity ratio of Hoyle and Hoyle excitation. If after simulating this quantity, you know from experiment, this is less than 32 kV. If you multiply that, you will get that direct decay branch of Hoyle state, which is what would be that. So to simulate this, we have to little bit brush up our WKB theory of alpha decay, which is used to obtain WKB theory, which is used to obtain the approximate solution of Schrodinger equation in one dimension. It is also used for calculating bound state energies and also for calculating tunneling probabilities. So basically, this is the picture. We have one barrier, and wave function, one wave is coming from here. So one incoming wave, one reflecting wave, and one is leaking through this barrier. And after coming out the barrier, this is the outgoing. So basically, the WKB theory says that in this region, inside the barrier, wave function will be given by this relation. This function will be given by this. So in case of less than 0, here we have combination of both the wave function, incoming as well as reflecting. Both they have amplitudes A and B. And in case of outgoing wave, we have only one outgoing wave amplitude, which is here. So from simple quantum mechanics, we have this transmission probability, which is just given by the outgoing wave to the incoming wave amplitude mod square. And the beauty of the WKB theory lies in that they actually give this amplitude ratio as this quantity. So basically, this is just how much the wave function has decayed traveling through this barrier. This is that quantity. So if we want to know the probability, we have to just square this mod value. We will get that exponential and gamma, which is gamma is given by this. So to continue, in our case, this was a general barrier. So in our case, then for the alpha decay, the simplistic decay barrier seems like this, where we have nuclear binding. If we have an alpha energy, which is excited, which has energy greater than 0, in center of mass it has some energy. It will has to face some barrier before coming out of the nucleus. So